Volvo plug-in hybrids. Perfect for anywhere they want to go this summer.
I know. Let's go goldfish shopping. Let's go on a big family road.
Hours and thought nothing of it, but the fact that nothing was mentioned, no one was prepared, we weren't looking to spend these 2 days inside with food and gas and properly prepared. I think that's the craziest of all, is this looks like a tropical storm or even a hurricane right now, and that word was not mentioned one time.
Yeah, it is in some cases, it's the messaging that we always talk about. It's a challenge because this isn't a tropical storm or a hurricane, but right now it's a bunch of powerful thunderstorms moving over repeatedly. It looks every bit like one, and it's just as impactful, especially if you're one of the residents that are experiencing flooding. It's dangerous and you've got damage to property. Gina, we really appreciate you checking in with us and sending some of this video, and we wish you safety moving forward through this evening. Glad you're home. You still have several hours to go with more of this heavy rain working through and a tough looking forecast through the next couple days. So again, thanks for talking with us here on Fox Weather. That's Gina Cingolani. Yeah, folks down in South Florida waited half a year for rainy season to get started, and doesn't typically look like this right out of the gate. That's the live picture from Oakland Park. You got traffic backed up, a lot of flooding across the metro area. That's looking out toward I-95 in some of these areas. We did have closures to some of the ramps. We've got more rain moving in, and there are still flash flood warnings and a flash flood emergency for parts of Miami-Dade and Broward County that runs until 8 p.m. At least a couple hours still to go with this. We're tracking the storms. We'll be right back here on Fox Weather.
Are you sick of power outages? Tired of sitting in the dark, not knowing when the lights will come back on?
That's why we created this amazing new solar generator.
It's powerful and expandable, so it runs your fridge and critical devices.
Protects your family because it's fume-free and safe to use inside.
Plus, you'll get this solar panel free. Go to 4patriots.com.
Do it now. Get your solar generator with free shipping and free panel at 4patriots.com.
That's $78.29.
I've only got $50. Take out the cheese puffs and the broccoli. I mean, who likes broccoli?
I don't. Only $22.87 to go.
It would be faster with the Empower app. Empower Cash Advance gives you up to $300 instantly. No late fees, interest, or credit checks.
I've got money. Keep the cheese puffs, but leave out the broccoli.
Get Empower Cash Advance up to $300 instantly. Download the Empower app today.
I have, over my 30 years, seen many patients who have excessive sweating. It is very much a confidence killer. Excessive sweating is not something you have to live with. I recommend Carpe for my patients.
Carpe is by far the most effective antiperspirant I've ever used.
I love Carpe. Now I don't sweat.
Effective and affordable. It's a game changer.
Choose a solution.
A flash flood emergency. Officials say if you possibly can, avoid going outside.
Good suggestion. Things downright dangerous in some parts. 7's Gail Levy reports from Miami Beach on the conditions there.
Flooded roads driving east down 71st Street on Miami Beach. Taking you into deep water. This man standing on the corner of 71st and Abbott Avenue, where you can see the water is about up to his knees. Then right across the street, this Chevron gas station filling up with water after the rounds of rain. Furthering the journey east to 71st Street and Harding Avenue, you can see the pressure is so strenuous on the drainage system that this manhole is starting to bubble up.
Look down the street. It messed up. You could sail a boat or walk a shark.
If you do have a shark to walk, you could even get it down to 69th Street and Byron Avenue. This neighborhood inundated with water. You can see the lower half of these tires just submerged in floodwater.
Too much water. Unbelievable.
Too much water flowing down Collins Avenue and 68th Street. This area turning the road into a river.
Whew, too much. Yesterday the same thing. Today it's a little worse.
Gail Levy, 7 News.
This is a 7 News weather alert.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. We're looking at a lot of heavy rainfall moving across parts of South Florida. Plenty of lightning as well across southern Miami-Dade County. Over the last half hour or so, over 2,000 lightning strikes have been reported between inland Miami-Dade and the coast. Light to moderate rainfall across parts of Broward County. But just in from the National Weather Service, a severe thunderstorm warning has been issued from Homestead north through Kendall Lakes. That does include Naranja and the Redland area. This has the potential for some very strong gusty winds and, of course, all that lightning that you just saw. We'll have a complete update coming up in just a few minutes.
And Phil, that weather affecting travel on the ground, but also in the air.
7's Vanessa Medina is live at Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport to continue our coverage. Vanessa.
Well, all flights halted in and out of Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport. That runway was a bit flooded. You could still see some standing water. However, hundreds, if not thousands of people have been affected across South Florida. Rain, rain, and more rain causing major problems at South Florida airports.
We were in town from Phoenix trying to go back home. Been here since last week, and these torrential downpours the last 2 days got us stuck.
At Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International, 144 cancellations and 70 delays.
I waited an entire year to have 1 week vacation from my job, and it turned out really well. And then we're on the plane, we're on the tarmac, and then the pilot said we have to switch pilots.
Darlene Alejandro cries as she thinks of just how close she got to leaving Florida.
We would have just left with the first pilot. We would have been in Nashville by now 2 hours ago.
So she booked a different flight.
We had to spend $700 to buy another flight from another airlines and get a refund that won't get to me until 4 days. So it's just disheartening.
And she's not alone.
First it was delayed, then the next thing, all flights are canceled.
At Miami International Airport, also hundreds of cancellations and delays.
I just got a text on my phone saying it was canceled, and that was it.
Oh, I'm disappointed it's canceled, but things happen for a reason, and it's bad weather for everybody, so it's better to be safe than to be sorry.
Back at FLL, early signs of the runway flooding. Has any hope for taking off dwindling?
I saved up my life's savings for this trip, so just staying positive. At least I'm not at work.
So we did just see one plane taking off from this runway here. It's unclear what has changed since the last update we got. We will go figure out if now planes are indeed taking off. However, the last we got was that they were grounded. However, we'll get that information. Of course, we'll bring it to you. But airline officials want everyone at home to know that if your flight was canceled or delayed, call your airline before coming to the airport, because, of course, it is quite crazy inside with the desk operators, customer service representatives trying to handle all of this and all of these flight cancellations and rerouting people to different airports. Reporting live at Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport, Vanessa Medina, 7 News.
All right, Vanessa, and we continue to watch the situation in South Florida as we are dealing with this wet Wednesday out there, a place that is familiar for flooding down in downtown Miami on Biscayne.
That's right. You're looking live at I-395 at Biscayne Boulevard as cars continue to go through that water. Again, if you don't need to be out on the road, certainly stay home. 7 News back after a quick break.
The deals at Doral Toyota are red hot. We have over
Question. What would you get with almost $750?
Easy. I'd buy a smartwatch like that guy.
Makes sense. Use that GPS for your poor sense of direction.
Excuse me? My grandfather was a homing pigeon. My internal compass is genetic.
Must have skipped a generation.
I'm a walking GPS.
Okay. Which way is north? Okay, that's up, not north.
I should get the watch.
Switch to Progressive and you could save hundreds to spend on whatever you dream up.
If you have generalized myasthenia gravis, picture what life could look like with Vyvgart Hytrulo, a subcutaneous injection that takes about 30 to 90 seconds. For one thing, could it mean more time for you? Vyvgart Hytrulo can improve daily abilities and reduce muscle weakness with a treatment plan that's personalized to you. Do not use Vyvgart Hytrulo if you have a serious allergy to any of its ingredients. It can cause serious allergic reactions like trouble breathing and decrease in blood pressure, leading to fainting and allergic reactions such as rashes, swelling under the skin, shortness of breath, and hives. The most common side effects are respiratory and urinary tract infections, headache, and injection site reactions. It may increase the risk of infusion-related reactions and infection. Tell your doctor if you have a history of infections or symptoms of an infection. Talk to your neurologist about Vyvgart Hytrulo for GMG and picture your life in motion.
Hi, I'm Sloan Smith. At All Your Cooling, we offer same-day service and installation 7 days a week. Get a brand new air conditioner financed with no money down. Ask about our extended labor warranties to protect the life of your unit. Keep your cool and call All Your Cooling. We're here for you. Call 833-ALL-YEAR. That's 833-ALL-YEAR.
Oh, here comes the bread guy.
Ugh, don't you ever get sick of bread?
How dare you?
Come on. If you save nearly $750 like this, imagine what we could splurge on.
Oh, like sourdough.
No, the good stuff, like blueberries.
And strawberries?
Exactly.
Raspberries, blackberries, cranberries,
Okay,
elderberries.
we don't need to name all the berries.
Goji berries, Halle berry. I'm just kidding.
Mm-hmm.
But I love her.
Switch to Progressive and you could save hundreds to spend on whatever you dream up.
It's a 7 News weather alert.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. A lot of rain here across South Florida. This is all due to a disturbance moving across the central part of the state. The moisture today has been coming in, as it did yesterday, from the Gulf of Mexico, moving right over South Florida, and then heading out into the Atlantic waters. And the Keys, after being quiet for a while, you have another line of strong activity there set up for you in about another half hour. But look at all these lightning strikes here between Miami-Dade and Broward County. We have a very strong cell sitting right here that continues to move towards the east. In about another 30 minutes, all that activity is going to impact the metropolitan area of Miami-Dade County as it travels to the northeast. By the way, over the last half hour, over 2,000 lightning strikes have been reported in the area here highlighted. And again, that's all aiming for very urbanized parts of Miami-Dade County. Now, that cell is now being eyed for a severe thunderstorm warning, at least until 6:30 this afternoon. Very heavy rainfall, lightning, and gusty winds are possible as it moves towards the east. Broward County, you too are looking at some pockets of moderate to heavy rainfall from Okeechobee Road all the way to the beach, and this is going to stay with you for a while. Plenty of flash flood warnings in place, basically from Coral Gables northward and from the beach all the way west to Chrome Avenue. From Broward, southern Broward from the coast all the way through US 27, and then the northern part of Broward County is also looking at a flash flood warning, all of them until 8 p.m. And then for this area right here, mostly northern Broward County and northern Miami-Dade and southern Broward County are under a flash flood emergency. That term is very rarely used, and that means that there's a danger there for the potential loss of life and damages to properties. Since midnight, look at all these rainfall totals. Almost 8 inches of rain in Fort Lauderdale, Opa-locka better than 5. On the plus side of 4 inches in Pompano Beach and Hollywood, almost 3 3/4 inches of rain in Oakland Park and Miami, over 3 1/3. Now it's going to stay soggy over the next few days. A flood watch will remain in place for the Keys until tomorrow afternoon, while the mainland, Miami-Dade and Broward, you're looking at your flood watch all the way through Friday evening. Now here's the forecast over the next few days. It's just going to be gray, windy, soggy, heavy rain Friday, the same Saturday. Sunday, we are hoping that things improve a little bit for Father's Day. Some more rainfall is possible on Monday, and then back to typical rain chances for Tuesday and Wednesday. That's your 7 on 7. 7 News will be right back.
The Hyundai Tucson with advanced tech and
everywhere but the seat. The seat is leather.
Alan, we get it. You love your bike. We do too.
That's why we're America's #1 motorcycle insurer.
But do you have to wedge it into everything?
This reminds me of my bike. Look how the brushstrokes follow the line on the gas tank. I had no idea this was a motorcycle exhibit.
News 5:30. Thank you so much for joining us.
Our extensive storm coverage continues now on 7 News at 6.
And now, downpours dampening another day.
Yeah, this is crazy.
Streets overwhelmed with water.
She couldn't go to work because how is she gonna leave her house and like walk through the water to get to her car?
Brought on by relentless rain. Tonight, a slew of weather warnings.
There's a certain area where water has already gathered and cars are getting stuck. Stay away from it.
And damage.
Everything's destroyed in the backyard.
Exclusive Team 7 coverage on this South Florida soaking. This is 7 News at 6. This is a 7 News weather alert.
Now at 6 o'clock, parts of the area remain under a flash flood emergency. The guidance from officials: stay inside and stay off the roads.
Live picture. This is one of our tower cams. It's pointed at Fort Lauderdale, but all you can see is a big gray blob. It's just zero visibility out there.
And from Broward now, there is a massive backup. There has been one there for a while because parts of I-95 are closed around Oakland Park Boulevard. Hello again and good evening, everybody. It's a wet and dangerous night out there.
Flash floods are already storming homes and trapping so many drivers out there. Our 7 News team is spread out all across South Florida to keep you safe with all the information you need. We're going to get to all of them in just a little bit. First, to Chief Meteorologist Phil Farrell, who's in the Storm Center. Phil.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Today, the National Weather Service issued an extremely rare alert, a flash flood emergency. Now, they only issue this when the potential is there for loss of life and catastrophic damage to property. The best thing that you can do is stay off the roads right now or in your homes. So the moisture, as it was yesterday, moving from the Gulf of Mexico into the Atlantic waters and, of course, pounding much of South Florida. The Keys, you're going to be getting some very heavy rainfall in about 30 minutes. Look at all the lightning across southern Miami-Dade County. A huge cell there is moving to the east-northeast. All those little green arrows, by the way, they represent the potential for a funnel cloud developing in the upper levels of the atmosphere. That heavy rain is already moving in through Homestead, Palmetto Bay, soon into downtown Miami, and then offshore. Broward County, not too bad. Your rain is moderate. Right now, no big storm cells impacting your area. Flash flood warnings in place, basically from Coral Gables northward and from the beaches west in through Chrome Avenue and north into the county line until 8 p.m. Broward County from the coast all the way to US 27, also with that flood advisory until 8. And then parts of northeastern Broward, you too are looking at a warning as far west as 441. Now, the area between more or less northern Miami-Dade and southern Broward County, highlighted here, is under that flash flood emergency. If you can stay out of that area, please do so. Here's the reason why. Just 6 inches of rain can knock a person down. How about a small car? 1 foot will kind of carry it off the road. And then for you SUVs and truck drivers, 18 to 24 inches can be just as bad. So please remember, you may not know if you're traveling over a flooded surface where the road ends and a canal begins. Please stay safe. We'll have a lot more on this a little bit later on in weather.
Well, if you plan to be out on the road, tread lightly and be prepared to stop before you get in over your head. This is how it looked just moments ago in Fort Lauderdale. See how dangerous it is on the roads. 7's Jessica Vallejo is there for us right now. Jessica.
Well, the rainfall continues coming down on us. It is wet and messy here in Fort Lauderdale. Right now, we are on Andrews Avenue and 8th Street. And right now, not just one car stuck out here, but 3. Take a look just right behind us. You can see this BMW now stranded here. We just spoke to the owner. He is okay, but he says that was definitely scary. And if you take a look towards our left, again, a white BMW as well as a black Mercedes stuck out here. It looks like a river. Again, this is Andrews Avenue and 8th Street. And I'm going to actually walk on a bit towards the street. You can see the water accumulated now close to up to my knees. So again, officials asking you to not be near these flooded waters as we are in a flash flood emergency. Also, take a look to your right hand side. You can see the water now even going into businesses. So if you do have a business, you are asked to put some sandbags to avoid later damage from happening. But again, as I mentioned, if you are out here, please stay indoors. Again, it is dangerous. You don't know what's inside of these flooded waters. You don't want to get stranded. You don't know if there's also down power lines. So avoid being out here and stay safe. I'm live in Fort Lauderdale, Jessica Vallejo, 7 News.
Well, elsewhere in Fort Lauderdale, it looks an awful lot like where you are, Jessica. We want to check in now with 7's Nicole Insalata.
Water seems inescapable from southbound 95 near 595 to the Galleria parking lot in Fort Lauderdale to the streets of Edgewood off State Road 84. This is why officials are telling people to stay home. When the rain starts coming down like this, Anna Reisdorf doesn't just get worried, she gets busy.
With all the dogs in, I'm all packed up. I pretty much got everything in bins, and we're ready to go.
The downpour of April 2023 left the interior of her house 3 feet underwater, and she's already starting to see some water on this Wednesday afternoon.
My husband's like, oh, don't panic, but I'm not going to be caught unprepared.
And around the Fort Lauderdale area, the rain is relentless and causing problems. Flooded out cars, just one result of treacherous driving conditions. The rain so torrential and water so deep in some areas, 95 shut down between Griffin and Oakland Park Boulevard.
I'm freaking out. I'm just like, you don't even know.
So you can see the mailbox right there. It gives you an indication of just how high this water is, but I can tell you where I'm standing, this is probably the least of it. I'm about 5'4", and in the middle of the street, the water is past my knees. So folks are concerned. We're starting to see some people take their stuff out of here. Some neighbors told us many folks did decide to leave. This area did have a lot of new drainage, millions of dollars worth of new pipes put into this neighborhood. And everybody has their fingers crossed that hopefully we won't see a repeat of April 2023. Reporting in Fort Lauderdale, Nicole Insulato, 7 News.
Well, from Nicole, we head to Hollywood and Hallandale Beach. The water there is also rising to dangerous levels. Jessica Holly has a look at those neighborhoods.
Not a typical day of paddleboarding in Dania Beach, but this is one way to get around when vehicles can't cut it on a nasty and dangerous day in South Florida.
Flood. A lot of flood. And non-stop.
Viewers sending in many videos of flooded roadways all around Hallandale Beach.
I was getting worried as the day went by.
One family with inches of water inside their home. At Gulfstream Park, people would return to their vehicles this afternoon to find water inside. At Dania Point Shopping Center, the parking lot is like a lake. The water up to the shopping cart baskets, and those who tried to drive through it calling for a tow. Both Dania Beach and Hallandale Beach shutting down city offices early and closing all parks and recreational facilities. They wouldn't be easily accessed anyway, as South Broward continues to be beaten by the nonstop rain. And right now we're at 3 Islands Boulevard at the entrance to Walmart in Hallandale Beach. And if you've ever driven through this kind of water, you know how difficult it is to judge just how deep it is. It was obviously difficult for the folks in these vehicles. From where we're standing right here, we see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stalled vehicles, including a Rolls-Royce. There are another 2 ahead of us here on 3 Islands Boulevard. The experts say, turn around, don't drown. It is too difficult to know just how deep the water is, and they say just a little bit of water can put you in a very dangerous situation. If you don't have to go out today, it's a good time to just stay home. We're reporting in Hallandale Beach. Jessica Holly, 7 News.
Meanwhile, parts of some coastal communities are underwater, and 7 News reporter Gail Levy checks in now from Miami Beach. Gail.
Well, Craig, the lightning out here has just been so bad. We have not been able to go live until now, and we are in the car currently. The lightning's been terrible, but this is the first time the rain has let up. You can see just how much has come down on Miami Beach. Now, we're right along 71st Street in between Byron and Carlisle Avenues, and it's about a good foot of water if you're veering off to the right. It is starting to get really, really deep out here, making driving conditions all around just terrible. A wet Wednesday leading to a transformer explosion on Miami Beach.
Oh my God.
This is just one more reason not to be out and about in this weather, not to mention the flooded roads everywhere. This is driving east down 71st Street on Miami Beach. Taking you into deep water. This man standing on the corner of 71st and Abbott Avenue, where you can see the water is about up to his knees. Then right across the street, this Chevron gas station filling up with water after the rounds of rain. Furthering the journey east to 71st Street and Harding Avenue, you can see the pressure is so strenuous on the drainage system that this manhole is starting to bubble up.
Look down the street. It messed up. You could sail a boat or walk a shark.
If you do have a shark to walk, you could even get it down to 69th Street and Byron Avenue. This neighborhood inundated with water. You can see the lower half of these tires just submerged in floodwater.
Too much water. Unbelievable.
Too much water flowing down Collins Avenue and 68th Street. This area turning the road into a river. Even in this Surfside parking garage, water pushing up through this area, flooding the ground floor at the Four Winds condo building.
Whew. Too much. Yesterday the same thing. Today it's a little worse.
And I mean, you can just see right now there is a lot of traffic as well. Everyone working to get through this floodwater. We've even seen a lot of people walking out here as well. All of it hitting about knee height, but we're going to keep you updated as this weather continues, as we expect more rain for the rest of the evening. For now, live on Miami Beach, Gail Levy, 7 News.
All right, Gail, let's head to 7's Jack Royer now. He's in Miami. He's just off Biscayne Boulevard, which is known to flood in heavy rains.
Pumps working in overdrive Wednesday, trying to clear water with more rain dumping on Miami-Dade. Northeast 23rd Street looking like a small river with some cars stuck nearly underwater up to their headlights.
It is frustrating sometimes. Like my cousin lives like right in the middle of the pond, and right now she couldn't go to work.
Yeah, this is crazy. I spent a lot of my life in Seattle, but we don't get flooding like this.
John Martin visiting from Seattle for a cruise.
Getting here was quite difficult. So yesterday, our flight was delayed 4 hours.
With cars having to cruise through floodwaters in most areas, especially if you were driving near Brickell Avenue and Southeast 14th Street, cars pushing up a big wake. The relentless rain ruining a beach day in Miami Beach, where most people donned ponchos instead of bathing suits, and umbrellas were hardly any match for the relentless downpours.
Some of the flooding is pretty crazy, I'm not gonna lie.
Beachgoers finding themselves in a rainy season mess.
We're going to the beach, but this is what we expected, so it's kind of fun.
Rain causing traffic delays for those out on the roads and keeping many off of I-95 today. Some cars parked street side, nearly underwater.
We saw some flooding, it was crazy.
Yeah, there was like Corvettes that were like almost underwater and stuff, and it was thousands and thousands of dollars gone.
In Miami, people living on 23rd say this street floods often.
I lost a car once there. Yeah, this is my second car, because one of my car like was parked where the flooding was happening, so it died.
There has to be something because it's not normal to have this.
Weather officials are warning of life-threatening flooding, a possibility throughout the evening and into tonight. As you can see, this flooding is not going anywhere. It's been like this most of the day, and with the rain falling, it could get even worse. In Miami, Jack Royer, 7 News.
I'm going to pass along, getting word now that there will not be, and you can understand why, any evening classes this evening at Miami-Dade College or Broward College. Their campuses are closed, but going beyond tomorrow, keep an eye out because that will also be weather contingent.
So much to tell you, so much information. It is dangerous out there. If you don't need to go out, stay home. This is a live picture of Fort Lauderdale where it looks like it's starting to clear up, but it is still a wet mess out there. We will have more Team 7 coverage of this wet weather right after we take a break. Keep it here.
Over 45 years ago, I founded Dolphin Carpet and Tile.
25% of Americans have no emergency fund. But take a deep breath. Work Money has your back. We connect you to free resources that help you save on the everyday and get ahead of whatever's next. Start saving now at workmoney.org.
If you have generalized myasthenia gravis, picture what life could look like with Vyvgart Hytrulo, a subcutaneous injection that takes about 30 to 90 seconds. For one thing, could it mean more time for you? Vyvgart Hytrulo can improve daily abilities and reduce muscle weakness, with a treatment plan that's personalized to you. Do not use Vyvgart Hytrulo if you have a serious allergy to any of its ingredients. It can cause serious allergic reactions like trouble breathing and decrease in blood pressure leading to fainting, and allergic reactions such as rashes, swelling under the skin, shortness of breath, and hives. The most common side effects are respiratory and urinary tract infections, headache, and injection site reactions. It may increase the risk of infusion-related reactions and infection. Tell your doctor if you have a history of infections or symptoms of an infection. Talk to your neurologist about Vyvgart Hytrulo for GMG and picture your life in motion.
Choosing a treatment for your chronic migraine, 15 or more headache days a month, each lasting 4 hours or more, can be overwhelming. So ask your doctor about Botox. Botox prevents headaches in adults with chronic migraine before they even start. It's the #1 prescribed branded chronic migraine treatment. So far, more than 5 million Botox treatments have been given to over 850,000 chronic migraine patients.
Effects of Botox may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away, as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness can be signs of a life-threatening condition. Side effects may include allergic reactions, neck and injection site pain, fatigue, and headache. Don't receive Botox if there's a skin infection. Tell your doctor your medical history, muscle or nerve conditions and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects.
In a survey, 92% of current users said they wish they talked to their doctor and started Botox sooner. So ask your doctor if Botox is right for you. Learn how AbbVie could help you save on Botox.
Back now to our storm coverage. Roads turn to rivers on Miami Beach as heavy rain leaves parts of South Florida underwater.
Hard to make out, but off in the distance, well, Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport there, where travelers have been having some troubles today, and you can understand why. The weather put some flight plans on pause.
You can see why. No visibility almost. Vanessa Medina live at Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport. She's got the latest on the numbers, the cancellations, delays, and I imagine some unhappy passengers, Vanessa.
Absolutely, a lot of unhappy passengers. We tried to steer clear from inside the terminals as people were trying to figure out how they were going to get to their destinations. There was some yelling going on, but the good news is right now is that the torrential downpours have slowly stopped for now. Now this runway that was originally flooded is now lessening up. There's not as much water as there was before. You can see planes are taking off. There's now just a ground delay. You can see that Delta plane just taking off here, which is good news for many passengers who have been delayed all morning. Some since 7 o'clock this morning waiting for their flight to leave. Now we have just been told there's just a ground delay, no more ground stops, so flights are allowed to take off and enter Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport. However, there will be a delay in those flights leaving. Rain, rain, and more rain causing major problems at South Florida airports.
We were in town from Phoenix trying to go back home. Been here since last week, and these torrential downpours the last 2 days got us stuck.
At Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International, 144 cancellations and 70 delays.
I waited an entire year to have 1 week vacation from my job, and it turned out really well. And then we're on the plane, we're on the tarmac, and then the pilot said we have to switch pilots.
Darlene Alejandro cries as she thinks of just how close she got to leaving Florida.
We would have just left with the first pilot. We would have been in Nashville by now 2 hours ago.
So she booked a different flight.
We had to spend $700 to buy another flight from another airlines and get a refund that won't get to me until 4 days. So it's just disheartening.
And she's not alone.
First it was delayed, then the next thing, all flights are canceled.
At Miami International Airport, also hundreds of cancellations and delays.
I just got a text on my phone saying it was canceled, and that was it.
Oh, I'm disappointed it's canceled, but things happen for a reason, and it's bad weather for everybody, so it's better to be safe than to be sorry.
Back at FLL, early signs of the runway flooding has any hope for taking off dwindling.
I saved up my life's savings for this trip, so just staying positive. At least I'm not at work.
Well, she's trying to stay lighthearted about it. According to the FAA, the average delay here at FLL is 432 minutes. So while planes are leaving, they are taking off. It is going to take some time to catch up. But of course, we'll be here, we'll stay on this, and we'll have more for you in the next few hours. Reporting live at Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport, 7 News continuing weather coverage. We'll be right back.
If you have generalized myasthenia gravis, Picture what life could look like with Vivgard Hytrulo, a subcutaneous injection that takes about 30 to 90 seconds. For one thing, could it mean more time for you? Vivgard Hytrulo can improve daily abilities and reduce muscle weakness with a treatment plan that's personalized to you. Do not use Vivgard Hytrulo if you have a serious allergy to any of its ingredients. It can cause serious allergic reactions like trouble breathing and decrease in blood pressure leading to fainting and allergic reactions such as rashes, swelling under the skin, shortness of breath, and hives. The most common side effects are respiratory and urinary tract infections, headache, and injection site reactions. It may increase the risk of infusion-related reactions and infection. Tell your doctor if you have a history of infections or symptoms of an infection. Talk to your neurologist about Vivgard Hytrulo for GMG and picture your life in motion.
Weather alert.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. We continue to see this inflow of moisture all across South Florida. The Keys have been quiet for a little while, but now there's some more rain starting to move in across the lower Keys. Miami-Dade and Broward have been impacted throughout much of the day. Everything is moving from the Gulf of Mexico across South Florida into the Atlantic. Our biggest concern right now is this batch of rain right across Miami-Dade County. Gusty winds, lightning, plenty of it, and the potential for the winds to be as strong as 60 miles per hour. Everything continues to move offshore. Now, here is, by the way, the last count, the last half hour, the amount of lightning strikes over this highlighted area. They have been at least 2,109 strikes that have come down. Now, we are looking at that same area to be under a severe thunderstorm warning for the potential of 60-mile-an-hour winds, and this does include Homestead, areas west of the Turnpike, the Redland, Naranja, and of course Chrome Avenue. So please, if you have to drive throughout this area, do so with extreme caution. Broward County, nothing very strong for you, but still some moderate rain here from the coast as far west as US 27 and in through rural Broward. Advisories that are in place, we have flash flood warnings basically from Coral Gables northward and from the beaches west to Chrome, Broward County, southern Broward from the coast to US 27, northeastern Broward until 8 p.m. But there's an area here between northern Miami-Dade and southern Broward that is under a flash flood emergency. That means that there is the potential for loss of life and also for some property damage. And here's the reason why. Take a look at these rain amounts. Fort Lauderdale shattering the daily record with over 8 inches of rain. By the way, that's as much rain in one day than the entire month of June for Fort Lauderdale. Everyone else here on this list, between 4 and almost 6 inches of rain. Now, it's going to stay very soggy over the next few days, at least until Friday. A flood watch in place for the Keys until tomorrow afternoon, and for Miami-Dade and Broward until Friday night. So here's your forecast. Forget about going boating or to the beach. Obviously, rainy, stormy, windy. That's going to be the pattern for the rest of the evening. Thursday, still more heavy rain and flooding concerns until Saturday. Keeping our fingers crossed up by Sunday, the rain chances start to come down. And then finally, a return back to normal for Tuesday and Wednesday. That's your 7 on 7 forecast.
Phil.
Well, but in the meantime, flooding, and more flooding, sadly.
7's Jack Royer out there, Jack.
That's right. The flooding has picked up in the last few minutes. You can see it is almost up to my knees here, just under the 395 overpass. That direction is Miami Beach. This, both ways, is pretty flooded. People still trying to drive through. We advise you again, stay home if you don't have to be on these roadways. We'll have more on what people are experiencing if they are out coming up at 6:30.
You're way shorter than I thought you'd be.
It takes your breath away. That's how you can tell you found the perfect vacation.
It doesn't get any bigger.
A place that opens your eyes and your spirits.
It's a Kissimmee thing.
This is your getaway, your escape. Recharging, rediscovering, reconnecting.
Welcome to Kissimmee.
However you spin it, never forget what's at the heart.
Is Cialis Daily better than Viagra? Does it last longer than Viagra? Are trial packs available? Get started today with a 3-month trial pack if appropriate at TryRexMD.com.
At Rue La La, feel like $1 million without paying the price. Seize the deals on top names before they're gone. Get in to never miss out. Shop RueLaLa.com today.
Helping families with mesothelioma is all we do. Our firm has been offering a free book on mesothelioma for over 10 years. Since that time, thousands with mesothelioma have trusted us to represent them against those responsible. We have local offices throughout the U.S. Mesothelioma really is all we do, and there is no risk to you. Let us put a plan in place for you and your family. Call now.
Call us at 800-260-0800 or go to mesolaw.com.
Whether because of discomfort, lack of mobility, your lifestyle, or occupation, you sit inactively way too many hours a day. Introducing Ellipse, the premium quality automatic seated exerciser that strengthens legs, increases mobility, and boosts circulation without physical strain or impact.
It is so quiet that none of my coworkers even know I'm using it.
Strengthen and tone your legs, increase your mobility, flexibility, and balance, plus stimulate healthy circulation.
My joints feel better, my knees feel better, my back feels better. It makes me feel stronger too.
Perfect for home therapy. Whisper quiet to use while you work.
My circulation is moving, I'm burning calories, and it makes me feel energetic.
Call now and order Ellipse, the seated exerciser that strengthens legs, increases mobility, and boosts circulation. Call and get upgraded to the Deluxe Bundle. Get the faster motor for 5 miles of steps per hour, the step counter, the sport mat, and wireless remote. Call now.
And welcome back. This is a Fox Weather Alert. I want to bring you to Hollywood, Florida, showing you the traffic cam. And notice this. You have those cars that are trying to get on the on-ramp, but already one that is stalled out, has its hazards on, and waiting for a tow truck. You can see everybody else slowly navigating around it. Notice the Fox Alert system, though. Severe weather aplenty in Minnesota. And one of those is a tornado warning for Lake and St. Louis County. And we'll be talking about that severe weather in the upper Midwest and the Midwest. Notice those people going through the crosswalk. You can just tell by their body language just how miserable that is, right? You have all the gear, you got the umbrellas and stuff, but just treading through that water, it's just a difficult day, right? It's a difficult day for so many in South Florida. I mean, we're talking millions of people that are being impacted by this. This is not an isolated threat at all. So we take you now to Pinecrest School. That's in Fort Lauderdale, where their rain at this rain gauge is nearly 1.5 inches. I mean, that is nothing compared to those spots that we've shown you, but it just shows you how expansive this is. And by the way, that's one minor rain gauge, right? It is areas of Fort Lauderdale down to North Miami. Radar estimates are at now 10 to 13 inches of rain over the last 24 hours, and it's led to this. A ground stop and a ground delay at the major airports. PBI, by the way, that's Palm Beach International. They're feeling the impacts, even though they're on the periphery of this. They're on the edge of that. The worst of it is now moving just south. I will say the overall trend when you're watching this is further south of Miami, Kendall, Homestead, those areas like Isla Mirada and the Florida Keys, they're taking the worst of it now. But the impacts that you felt from yesterday to today is showing you the visuals below. And then, of course, we're bringing you other live visuals from Miami-Dade College where the rain just is ongoing. Even when it's light at times, it's just too much because it's falling on top of flash flood emergencies and flash flood warnings that are already in place. By the way, this goes until 8 p.m. Eastern time, so we have another hour and a half of this flash flood emergency. And you look at this, the overall trend is that these showers are going to cross over the I-95 corridor. Look at this below. Fire trucks in Sarasota. The only vehicles or high water vehicles from first responders, the only ones that can navigate into these neighborhoods. By the way, the water has gotten so high that regardless of the height of your vehicle, even if you can make it through, you're sending waves into businesses and into homes at this point. Why it's just not advisable. Even if you can make through the water, you're harming your neighbors, right? It's just, at this point, better to stay inside and to get to higher ground. If you have the ability to get your car to a parking garage, I mean, that's the best bet. We heard Brandy talk about that last night. It is the best advice that you can have as of right now. There's North Miami, radar estimates, nearly 9.5. We have Hollandale Beach, where you're getting close to almost 14 inches of rain. And then north of there along A1A, that's the coastal highway, showing over a foot. So what this tells me when I'm watching this is it's not just the beachfront. It's not just I-95. It's all the way into these major suburbs and neighborhoods like Carroll City, Pembroke Pines, Hollandale, Hollywood. Yeah, great job, Sam, taking away the product and just showing you they have built up. The only spots that don't have homes or businesses on them are these inlets here, right there where you have the water, of course. Everywhere else has been built up, and that urban landscape just can't keep up. I want to show you now what these areas look like. And so what we're showing you is the events of today and those major interstates like I-95 that have just been inundated and shut down. They've dealt with this deluge. And, I mean, this is not even a named system. I mean, this is still Invest 90L. It means they want to investigate it. To tell us more about what an incredible day this has been, I want to bring in Fox Weather's Brandy Campbell, who's been in South Florida. Brandy, you've had remarkable live shots throughout the day, and I can't believe you've been able to move because of how difficult these streets are to navigate.
Yeah, Steve, we have moved from, I would say, the west side to the eastern side of Hollywood, the city of Hollywood. And yeah, it hasn't been easy. It's been a slow drive for me and my photographer, just trying to make sure we don't get ourselves into trouble. Obviously, this is a time where you really don't want to be driving on the roads. Right now, we're actually in a neighborhood where it just looks like the water just goes on and on. Cars have been coming through, some of them choosing to turn around. It looks like this Chrysler might be deciding to do just that. They got their car in reverse, and we got a Jeep coming up just right behind it. But in this neighborhood, you can see the sidewalks are covered, and for some homes, it's unfortunate that the water is actually going up to them. You can see it up to the foundation of this house, and it's probably about an inch or two up against that home. So if there's water inside, we don't know. We haven't actually spoken to any of the homeowners in this area to see what the situation is like inside, but it's definitely just a terrible day for some folks. We've seen some areas where the water does look to have receded as well, because we've seen some cars stranded in streets where the water isn't even as high anymore to cause them to stall out. So we may have had water even higher in this neighborhood than what we're currently seeing right now. So tricky day. That driver just waving to us. Hopefully they can get to where they got to go safely. All right. But it's been a very tricky day, not just here on the roads that have been really impacted, not just here in Hollywood, but Fort Lauderdale, where their mayor just declared a state of emergency. He also said he spoke with Kevin Guthrie with the state's Department of Emergency about the situation. They're going to send down some resources to help them out, or at least make them available. But even further south of us in the city of Miami, I'm hearing it's coming down pretty heavy by them. On top of that, airlines, they are really feeling the brunt of it. My boyfriend, he's actually trying to make his way here from New Orleans tonight, and I don't know if he's going to make it. He said his flight already delayed about 2 hours to get here, and the Brightline, that's the train, the passenger train I should say, coming from Miami going all the way up to Orlando. Their representative told me that they are sold out tonight, and they believe it's because of all of the flight disruption. So folks are trying to get there by any means possible, and so that might mean taking the train if they can do that instead. So hectic day. I met a few people who have been out just kind of walking through it on foot, with their umbrella, walking their dogs. I met one woman, she said she was actually leaving a friend's home, and they ended up walking through this mess. This was her reaction to it.
It's very crazy. We live here since we were little, and this is crazy. We were actually walking from a friend's house, and now we're going home, and it's flooded. It's absolutely crazy.
All right, and when we left, it was still in that same state, the water not really going up or down. I also want to say I spoke to our weather presentation team, our Fox Forecast Center, I should say, and in the past 24 hours, the city of Hollywood had about a foot of rain to have fallen in this area, and we still have about an inch or two to go. So we'll have to see, once the day ends, how much that really turns out to be. But again, just quite a treacherous day out here. People driving through deep water, trying to make it to wherever they've gotten to go. Thankfully, the rain is a little bit lighter than what we have experienced throughout the day. At some point, Steve, it was just a torrential downpour, and then you also had the lightning going off as well. So a very dangerous day, and also one just leaving drivers wondering, can I make it through? Some of them speeding through to do it.
But now it has pretty much stayed at that level for about the last hour or so. So everyone here has their fingers crossed that this does not get any worse. But we have seen people walking in waist-deep water, trying to bring sandbags into their homes. I just moments ago spoke to a woman who was walking her bike through this. She said she lost everything when we had those rains here last April of 2023. And now she was just trying to get to a friend's home to get some pet food. She says she's got nothing, and it's all happening all over again. She has been still trying to recover from what happened a year ago. So everyone here just hoping that this just doesn't get any worse. Live in Fort Lauderdale, Nicole Insalata, 7 News.
And from Fort Lauderdale in Broward County to parts of Miami-Dade, also swamped by storms. 7's Jack Royer is live in downtown Miami to show us how things are looking there. Jack?
Robin, things have deteriorated rather quickly in the last few minutes. This is Biscayne Boulevard underneath 395. It did not look like this an hour or two ago. You can see cars are still trying to make it through, I would say, shin-deep water. But as I was walking to get to this location, it came up to my knees and a little beyond. You can see we are standing in it, and this is a construction zone underneath 395. Take a look over here. This is going to be quite a mess to clean up. Some of this equipment, pieces of steel, construction equipment lying around underneath the overpass. To give you our bearings, the Frost Science Museum is just here off to my left. So this is Biscayne Boulevard, a bit of a river this evening. Folks are still trying to make it through. I did not try to drive through this. I did not think it was wise. We advise people not to try to drive through floodwaters, of course, but as you can see, some people are. We saw one woman a moment ago pushing her car, trying to get it out of the floods. One woman walked by me a moment ago. She did not want to speak to us. Everybody is having quite a day here in Miami-Dade County.
Pumps working in overdrive Wednesday trying to clear water with more rain dumping on Miami-Dade. Northeast 23rd Street looking like a small river with some cars stuck nearly underwater up to their headlights.
It is frustrating sometimes. My cousin lives right in the middle of the pond, and right now she couldn't go to work.
Yeah, this is crazy. I spent a lot of my life in Seattle, but we don't get flooding like this.
John Martin visiting from Seattle for a cruise.
Getting here was quite difficult. So yesterday, our flight was delayed 4 hours.
With cars having to cruise through floodwaters in most areas, especially if you were driving near Brickell Avenue and Southeast 14th Street, cars pushing up a big wake. The relentless rain ruining a beach day in Miami Beach, where most people donned ponchos instead of bathing suits, and umbrellas were hardly any match for the relentless downpours.
Some of the flooding is pretty crazy, I'm not gonna lie.
Beachgoers finding themselves in a rainy season mess.
We're going to the beach, but this is what we expected, so it's kind of fun.
Rain causing traffic delays for those out on the roads and keeping many off of I-95 today. Some cars parked street side, nearly underwater.
We saw some flooding, it was crazy.
Yeah, there was like Corvettes that were like almost underwater and stuff, and it was thousands and thousands of dollars gone.
In Miami, people living on 23rd say this street floods often.
I lost a car once there. Yeah, this is my second car, because one of my car was parked where the flooding was happening, so it died.
There has to be something because it's not normal to have this.
Watching here as people try to make their way through Biscayne Boulevard underneath the overpass. I have a feeling some of them are going to regret it later on today, tonight, tomorrow. Their cars may be working fine now, but they are in quite a bit of water. This is a city bus that has been sitting here for the past, I would say, 10 to 15 minutes. In fact, I see here, it looks like the driver of the bus and one of the passengers may be getting off this bus. In fact, that's exactly what's happened. They've just gotten off this bus, moved some of these barrels. They're hopping back on, but they've been sitting here for quite some time now. We were debating whether or not they were broken down or may just be being cautious themselves. We're gonna watch and see if they try to make this turn, but I can tell you the water is thick everywhere you look. Let's give you one more chance to see how it looks on Biscayne here, and just to give you an idea of exactly how high up this water has gotten. These are mid-sized sedans and crossover SUVs sort of sitting in the water that's coming up above the tires, not quite to the chassis of the car yet, but it's a mess. It's still raining. We are seeing some thunder and lightning around us. We are underneath the 395 overpass. That direction is Miami Beach. Like I said, the Frost Museum close to us tonight. It is rush hour. It is an unusual rush hour here in Miami as folks try to get home or try to get where they're going. If you don't need to be out here, as you can see, we advise you not to be out. For now, reporting live in Miami, Jack Royer, 7 News.
And keep repeating that. Thank you, Jack. Another part of Miami-Dade County also washed out.
7 Sheldon Fox continues our coverage.
Northeast Miami-Dade deluge. Strip malls, streets, and sidewalks socked by water that keeps coming up. Just like across other sections in South Florida, it's a problem. This is someone being rescued from their stalled car and high water in Aventura at 185th Street and 31st Avenue. It's been electric, too, as lightning is seen from this balcony in North Miami. Driving is what you absolutely should not be doing. In fact, if you can stay inside altogether, please do so.
Sheldon Fox with that report. Our coverage of the flash flood emergency does continue.
The storm's causing a lot of trouble at South Florida's airports, as you might imagine. We are live with the cancellations and delays and some tears after the break.
For hourly forecasts, live radar, and the 7 Weather blog, tap the 7 Weather app. Just search WSVN in your app store. Sponsored by Estrella Insurance.
You can feel genuine love when you go.
As Floridians, we know storms are a part of life, and hurricane season is here. That's why it's so important to be prepared. At FPL, we're working every day year-round to get ready for storm season. And we want to make sure you're ready too. So develop a plan, stock up on supplies, and secure your home before severe weather hits. Visit fpl.com/storm for a storm guide and download our mobile app to get real-time updates. FPL, working for you every single day.
Drivers in some deep trouble in downtown Miami. Biscayne Boulevard and the Ranch to the MacArthur Causeway flooding fast.
And taking a live look at downtown Fort Lauderdale, a gray haze covering the city, making the skyline a bit difficult to see. But the situation has improved since we saw it earlier today. A flash flood emergency, though, continues across parts of South Florida.
Some parts getting a month of rain just in one day here. 7's Gail Levy live on Miami Beach with the conditions currently there. Gail.
Oh my gosh, guys, there has been so much lightning. We have not been able to get out of the car because it is just not safe out here. And I want to show you something. You can just see how deep the water is right here. Look at that truck driving through. It is about a foot of water, I would say, as the cars get closer to where we are parked right now in this parking lot. There's like a deep divot in there, and cars have just tried to move along here as quickly as they could. Here you can see another truck, just how high that water goes up on its tires, and that truck looks like it is lifted. And then I'd say where we're parked right now, we're in about 6 inches of water. And actually, if Manny's going to show you here over to the right, we're just pulling the window down for you guys. Over here, this water is also deep, even a little further off to the left. We haven't seen many people driving through that area because this water is so deep, causing traffic nightmares all around Miami Beach. A wet Wednesday leading to a transformer explosion on Miami Beach.
Oh my God.
This is just one more reason not to be out and about in this weather, not to mention the flooded roads everywhere. This is driving east down 71st Street on Miami Beach. Taking you into deep water. This man standing on the corner of 71st and Abbott Avenue, where you can see the water is about up to his knees. Then right across the street, this Chevron gas station filling up with water after the rounds of rain. Furthering the journey east to 71st Street and Harding Avenue, you can see the pressure is so strenuous on the drainage system that this manhole is starting to bubble up.
Look down the street. It messed up. You could sail a boat or walk a shark.
If you do have a shark to walk, you could even get it down to 69th Street and Byron Avenue. This neighborhood inundated with water. You can see the lower half of these tires just submerged in floodwater.
Too much water. Unbelievable.
Too much water flowing down Collins Avenue and 68th Street. This area turning the road into a river. Even in this Surfside parking garage, water pushing up through this area, flooding the ground floor at the Four Winds condo building.
Whew, too much. Yesterday the same thing. Today it's a little worse.
Yeah, that rain has just been relentless out here all day. Right now, it finally seems like it's let up a little bit, but it has caused a lot of significant flooding out here on Miami Beach. So you're going to want to be very careful as you're moving through the area, as there is right now a lot of traffic. For now, I'll send it back to you guys. Gail Levy on Miami Beach.
All right, Gail, storms causing problems not only on the ground, but also in the air. 7's Vanessa Medina live for us again at Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport. Vanessa.
So while those torrential downpours wreaked havoc on FLL today, closing the airport, essentially there was a ground stop for several hours. The runway was flooded. In all, here at Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport, there was 219 flights canceled, 69 delayed, and as you can see, there is some movement behind me. These planes are now moving. It's now a ground delay, but it is delayed for several hours. Rain, rain, and more rain causing major problems at South Florida airports.
We were in town from Phoenix trying to go back home. Been here since last week, and these torrential downpours the last 2 days got us stuck.
At Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International, 144 cancellations and 70 delays.
I waited an entire year to have 1 week vacation from my job, and it turned out really well. And then we're on the plane, we're on the tarmac, and then the pilot said we have to switch pilots.
Darlene Alejandro cries as she thinks of just how close she got to leaving Florida.
We would have just left with the first pilot. We would have been in Nashville by now 2 hours ago.
So she booked a different flight.
We had to spend $700 to buy another flight from another airlines and get a refund that won't get to me until 4 days. So it's just disheartening.
And she's not alone.
first it was delayed, then the next thing, all flights are canceled.
At Miami International Airport, also hundreds of cancellations and delays.
I just got a text on my phone saying it was canceled, and that was it.
I'm disappointed it's canceled, but things happen for a reason, and it's bad weather for everybody, so it's better to be safe than to be sorry.
Back at FLL, early signs of the runway flooding. Has any hope for taking off dwindling?
I saved up my life's savings for this trip, so just staying positive. At least I'm not at work.
So the airline stating if your flight was canceled or delayed due to the thunderstorms and rain today, they're asking you to contact your airlines before coming to the airport. You will likely get a text or an email update giving you the latest information as for your flight. They say inside the ticket agents are just jammed and it might be easier to call from home. Reporting live at Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport, Vanessa Medina, 7 News continuing coverage. We'll be right back.
25% of Americans have no emergency fund. But take a deep breath. Work Money has your back. We connect you to free resources that help you.
Inside, the ticket agents are just jammed and it might be easier to call from home. Reporting live at Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport, Vanessa Medina, 7 News continuing coverage. We'll be right back.
And you can see our local affiliate right on top of that. Did you hear that gut-wrenching story? Life savings for this trip, and now they have to deal with this mess that's ongoing. And you'll look, this is a story that will pull at your heartstrings, but it's one of many as you look at the ground stops, ground delays, and then you think about those homes that are inundated with water. And Kiana, the concern is, I mean, we're not even done with this event yet. We have days to go.
You know, this system has really put a lot of people, stopped them in their tracks through the course of today. When we look at some of the top reports that are coming through for the rain totals, areas like Sarasota are well over a foot of rain. This is over the last 3 days or so. And bear in mind, we still have at least 3 more days to get through with an opportunity of rain over parts of Florida. Fort Lauderdale sits at around just shy of a foot. Miami around 9 inches over the last 3 days. Fort Myers sitting around 8 inches of rain. And we still have more rain, not only for today, but possibly even into tomorrow as well as Friday. As we look at the future radar for tonight, we take you through the overnight hours. It's still going to be raining in areas across southeast Florida. Pretty much from west to east, we're watching these zones from Fort Myers through Naples, Fort Lauderdale through Miami. Scattered showers and storms take us through a portion of Friday as well as even into the start of the weekend too. So really watching this continue to move over areas that are vulnerable at this point. Looking at Saturday evening, 7 p.m., you're still looking at a couple of heavier showers back towards central Florida. It finally looks like it wants to calm down as far south as Fort Lauderdale and Miami for the weekend. But again, this is after several inches of rain that have already fallen. Taking us through Sunday, we look at some of the totals at hand here still to come. All of that orange coming up, about 3 to 5 inches of rain. There are some pockets locally that could see upwards of 5 to 8 inches of rain with the ongoing rain that's expected through the latter half of this week. Each and every day, we still hold on to that flash flooding concern that's in place. Today was the highest of it, a 3 out of 4 over those areas that had the flash flood emergency earlier in the day. But looking at through tomorrow, Friday, even into the weekend, we still sit at around a 2 out of 4 threat for flash flooding. Finally, by Saturday, I think things kind of scale back to a 1, so a lower risk for flash flooding. But we still have to get through this. These are totals that are projected through the latter half of this week and into the weekend. Miami, you're sitting the highest right now, 5 to 8 inches over you. Fort Lauderdale, 3 to 5 inches over you. Weston, a little far inland, as the rain likely is going to be coming from west to east, 3 to 5 inches there as well. We are completely surpassing, if not getting very close to, our average rainfall for this month alone, Steve. For June, areas like Fort Lauderdale could see up to 10 inches of rain.
And we look at that, Kiana. I mean, yeah, many locations have surpassed that monthly total, and concerns are, as you had just mentioned, will be ongoing, leading to visuals like this, where Hollywood, Florida is seeing those on-ramps and off-ramps to the major interstates closed, and you have stalled out vehicles, and now there's multiple vehicles here. You see one, the white sedan, And then there's one on the very edge of the screen. So why we advise you not to be outside. You just don't know what's in the water, and you don't know if you're going to be able to make it through it. We'll continue our coverage of what's happening in Florida.
Till 8 p.m. tonight. But there's a small area here between northern Miami-Dade and southern Broward that is under a flash flood emergency. Very rare designation. They only issue it when the potential is there for loss of life or damage to properties. So, not a good night to be out on a boat or going to the beach, or for that matter, be outdoors altogether. And that could be the pattern through Saturday. Plenty of heavy rain is forecast, with the flooding concerns sticking around. We're hoping that by Sunday on Father's Day, things will start to dry out a little bit. A high of 90, still humid, and more shower activity. And I think we're probably going to get back to our typical pattern for this time of year by Tuesday and Wednesday. That's your 7 on 7 forecast.
There is a storm coming, an event like the world has never seen before. The emerging event will have little to do with weather, but more about developing situations that were foreseen many years ago. We have always warned you during severe weather and news events that affected many. Now, Channel 1 Atlanta begins a new series to warn you about what's coming soon and make sure you are prepared. Join us on a new journey, as according to a recent survey, a lot of people believe we are living in the last days. Current news events show us now more than ever. In history, time is setting the stage for the coming storm. A new series, now playing only on Channel 1 Atlanta.
Again, a confirmed tornado on the ground in downtown Conyers. This is a very dangerous and life-threatening weather event. Get into the interior section of your house, away from windows or a basement if you have. And there's the debris right there in the Millstead area near the Rockdale Medical Center. Right.
We got record rainfall that's ongoing. By the way, not for an
Channel
isolated
1
spot
Atlanta.
on the west coast and the east coast of Florida. Let's jump into what we've seen so far today and get you caught up on everything, and then, of course, advance this, flick this forward and talk about the rest of the week for areas like Florida. Here's the U of Miami Rosenthal School, Key Biscayne, and you're seeing gray skies still over the Key of Biscayne there. Rain has been over 4 inches. Biscayne Boulevard, by the way, is a spot that's been inundated with rain. By the way, Fox Weather Alert System showing us there's a tornado warning in North Dakota, several severe thunderstorm warnings in Minnesota. Yeah, Upper Midwest has got a mess on their hands with severe weather tonight, Midwest tomorrow with more severe weather, so it's the true overlap of two dynamic seasons. We're going to go into the zone of South Florida where millions have just been getting walloped with waves and waves of rain. And now, even when it gets a moment of just light rainfall, you're still contending with the feet of water that is pooled together. Look below. We're going to be talking about rain totals in inches, many of those in excess of a foot. But when they accumulate to those low-lying areas, then it starts to stack up. And we've gotten reports of 3 to 4 feet of water on roads, why they've been closed. We've also gotten reports of spots where water's got into people's homes, several inches of that. So here's some of those estimates coming in out of the last day alone, where you've eclipsed a foot of rain. It's not a good sign when you're talking about the major artery, the biggest interstate in the state of Florida, I-95, that's been slammed with this. I-95, several exits have been closed. The actual interstate itself has been closed through the afternoon. That continues now into the evening time. We're talking hours and hours of impacts, hours of frustration, if you can imagine you've been stuck out in this. Why do we try to tell you? It's not worth it. Just stay inside, get to the highest level of a parking garage, get your car there, and then get inside. Look at these reports. Miami-Dade talking about that 3 to 4 feet. Dania Beach talking about exits at the airports. They're not possible to navigate. We've talked about the numbers, we've reports. I want to show you what it looks like on the ground, right? Oftentimes, when you're talking about a multi-day threat like this, you have neighborhoods that are completely underwater. If you don't believe me, believe this. The view that our Fox weather Brandon Campbell's got in South Florida. And Brandon, I mean, this is not a view that is isolated. You've been kind of safely navigating around, and this is something that you've seen widespread throughout the day.
Yeah, that's right. We've mainly been in the city of Hollywood here. That's just south of the city of Fort Lauderdale, if you're familiar with that spot. And just throughout the town, you will see hot spots where there's a lot of flooding, some of the major roads, and of course the neighborhoods like where we are. So let's just take a look at what we're seeing here. Obviously, you can see water just covering the roadways, it's covering the sidewalks. And unfortunately, to our left, this home, the water's going all the way up to the walls of their house. So not sure if they have water inside or not. I did get a chance right before we went live to talk to 2 different residents here, one across the street and one just to our left, and neither
witness. Now, Mayor Andre Dickens said he listened to roughly all 45 minutes of that 911 call. He believes that Greer's mental state played a part in his actions yesterday. In downtown Atlanta, Patrick Quinn, Atlanta News First.
Well, that suspect had his first day in court in Fulton County this morning, but tonight we're learning he will not be tried there.
Yeah, well, it turns out one of the passengers on that hijacked bus was an employee of the Fulton County District Attorney's Office. I'm political reporter Doug Reardon outside the Fulton County Courthouse. This is where suspect Joseph Greer had a scheduled arraignment this morning. He waived that, but he is not likely to step back inside this building again. Because that DA employee was a victim and also a witness to this alleged crime, the DA's office says they are stepping away from prosecuting it. They will instead hand this case off to the Prosecuting Attorneys Council of Georgia, who will then decide where it is to be prosecuted. Because that bus chase went through Gwinnett and DeKalb counties as well, it is very likely to end up there.
Right now, the man who drove that bus across Metro Atlanta while being held at gunpoint is being hailed a hero tonight. His family telling us he is shaken up, but otherwise he's doing okay. Atlanta News First, Yasmina Alston spoke with his daughter.
Ernst Antoine has been driving buses for over 20 years, but never did he imagine the ride he was in for when he left this bus yard on Tuesday afternoon, heading towards downtown Atlanta for his last trip of the day.
We've never had a situation where we were held at gunpoint, let alone held hostage, like in a bus. Like, we're just trying to process everything.
Ernst Antoine was in the driver's seat of the Gwinnett County Transit bus, a job he's only had a few months, when accused gunman Joseph Greer held him and his passengers hostage, then led them on a chase from Atlanta to DeKalb County. Greer also allegedly shot and killed one of the passengers on the bus.
He was driving, just driving, with no direction, literally just to drive. And if he were to stop, then he would have got shot. So basically, he just did what he had to do, right? Not only for himself, but also to protect the passengers.
Antoine is not ready to speak as he recovers mentally and from bruises he sustained. Antoine's daughter, Karen, says her dad's main concern was just trying to keep those on the bus and on the road as safe as possible. Antoine says he pushed the emergency button and cameras on and did as he was told.
He was on 85, right? On 85. Trying to maneuver through all these cars, trying to evade the police per the request of the shooter. Imagine like how many cars and police officers that would have gotten affected at that time.
Much of that chase caught on camera.
The police officers are trying to stop the bus from moving. You know, they remove the air from the tires. So at one point he was driving on the literal rims and metals. You know, the bus could have tipped over at any moment. So he's literally like maneuvering the bus so that it doesn't like stop or fall anywhere.
Ironically, Antoine is a pastor who works to try and stop gun violence here and abroad. Never did his family imagine it would impact them so close to home.
I really do believe that even being able to save all these people is because of his values, right? His Christian values as a leader, you know, as a pastor, you know, it really helped him to get to that situation. And he just really wants people to be able to go back into the community and to help out as much as possible.
And Antoine is also a pastor and works to try and stop gun violence. While he is going to take a break from this job, he will continue to work towards peace. In Gwinnett County, Yasmina Alston, Atlanta News First.
Atlanta News First was the first to bring you this breaking story yesterday on air and online with real-time safety alerts. Our free Atlanta News First app can always keep you in the know. Unusually warm weather across the metro tonight. The forecast includes 3 first alert weather days on tap for the end of the work week. And Cutter Martin, first alert meteorologist Cutter Martin, joining us here in the First Alert Weather Center. This comes unfortunately right in time for the weekend.
It does. Unfortunately, if you're working outside trying to get the yard work in, but if you have pool plans, lake plans, maybe the perfect weather setup for that. As warm as it is right now, it's about to get hotter. First alert weather days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the First Alert Weather team just highlighting the days that will have the warmest temperatures, the most uncomfortable conditions. So as Tracy already mentioned, it is warm out there. 83 at 9 p.m., 78 at midnight. We're going to wake up to the 70s out the door tomorrow morning, and from there we will climb. We are dry overnight tonight, but we are remaining warm, and I think you'll notice a touch more humid this evening. Days trending hotter. First alert weather days remaining mostly dry. Eventually a break from the heat. More on that and your First Alert Tropical Update here in just a few minutes.
We'll see you then, Cutter. Thanks. We are staying on top of a number of major stories for you tonight. Here's your top 7 at 7.
Atlanta Mayor Andre Dickens launching a new safety initiative, Operation Heatwave, aimed at protecting your family all summer long. $30,000 on the line. Hall County investigators announcing an increase in reward money for the safe return of 12-year-old Maria Gomez Perez. Atlanta's Board of Education one step closer to hiring a new superintendent. 3 finalists now in the running. Amazon drivers demanding more benefits. 15,000 contract workers demanding compensation, overtime, and work-related expenses. Ultra-processed plant-based foods linked to heart disease. A new study in the Lancet Regional Health Journal shows plant-based junk foods raise cholesterol and blood pressure levels. Atlanta leaders giving you cash for riding an e-bike. The city's new rebate program launches this weekend. Jerry West dies at 86. He's the Hall of Fame basketball player immortalized on the NBA logo.
Well, right now, firefighters hard at work on a fire that quickly engulfed an apartment complex. This all happening 20 miles west of Atlanta in Douglas County. Atlanta News First anchor Carly Barnett joining us from the Douglasville proper apartments. Carly.
Tracy, families here today lost everything. I'm just going to step out of the way so you can see what's left of this building at the Douglasville proper apartments. When the smoke is gone, the flames are gone, you can really see all of the destruction left behind. The siding that's been melted, the walls that just aren't even there anymore. We can see right through this building practically. Atlanta News First, we were first out here when the call came in around 2:45 this afternoon. Chief Miles Allen says this building was fully involved. Flames shooting out of the top. 3 people, he says, including a child, were injured. They were transported to the hospital. At this time, there is no update on any of their conditions. All of the people who are displaced in these around 18 units are being helped by the Red Cross right now. And we spoke to someone who lived here and made it out with her daughter, describing what it feels like to see it now.
It's empty. It's just like the apartment building. We're just trying to figure out where to go from here because we've never experienced anything like this. Where to start, who to talk to, who to call, how to replace birth certificates and medical supplies and baby pictures.
Now, Rashida says the leasing office is trying to work with the residents right now to see if they can get them into any empty apartment units. At this point, all of that is still up in the air. Douglas County Fire Rescue says it's still too soon to say what caused the fire. We tried to speak to the leasing office. They say they weren't authorized to answer our questions, but that they would forward them to management. Questions like, were there smoke detectors working, fire alarms working, and what was the date of their last fire inspection? No one's called us back yet. Live in Douglasville, Carly Barnett, Atlanta News First.
Those families have a difficult road ahead.
On 23rd, say this street floods often.
I lost a car once there. Yeah, this is my second car. Because one of my cars was parked where the flooding was happening, so it died.
There has to be something because it's not normal to have this.
Watching here as people try to make their way through Biscayne Boulevard underneath the overpass. I have a feeling some of them are going to regret it later on today, tonight, tomorrow. Their cars may be working fine now, but they are in quite a bit of water. This is a city bus that has been sitting here for the past, I would say, 10 to 15 minutes. In fact, I see here, it looks like the driver of the bus and one of the passengers may be getting off this bus. In fact, that's exactly what's happened. They've just gotten off this bus, moved some of these barrels. They're hopping back on, but they've been sitting here for quite some time now. We were debating whether or not they were broken down or may just be being cautious themselves. We're going to watch and see if they try to make this turn, but I can tell you the water is thick everywhere you look. Let's give you one more chance to see how it looks on Biscayne here, and just to give you an idea of exactly how high up this water has gotten. These are mid-sized sedans and crossover SUVs sort of sitting in the water that's coming up above the tires, not quite to the chassis of the car yet, but it's a mess. It's still raining. We are seeing some thunder and lightning around us. We are underneath the 395 overpass.
So you can see how brutal the conditions there are from Miami-Dade and Broward County, and the rain just continues. We'll continue to check in with WSVN, but we also have to check in on what's happening in the upper Midwest. Yeah, severe weather continues, the overlap of this season, and we have numerous severe thunderstorm warnings, 17 active warnings. By the way, hurricane force winds could be a problem tonight. Tomorrow for the Midwest, it even dials up to 95-mile-per-hour winds potential. Yeah, there's a lot of people being impacted in Florida and the Midwest. We're talking millions. We'll talk more about those impacts when Fox Weather Live returns.
America is always on the move, moving forward, moving up, moving home. And whether you're moving across town or across the country, Pods delivers when we say we will, with no surprise costs. which is why we were voted America's #1 container moving company. Join over 6 million people who have trusted Pods with their move. Book your move today at pods.com.
Walmart Plus members save on delivery, gas, plus so much more. Join today.
I used to think I couldn't host shindigs at my place. Then I found Pretty Litter. My home has never smelled fresher. Plus, it can serve as a fun party trick. Pretty Litter changes color to keep tabs on my cat's health. Did I mention it delivers right to your door?
This is kitty litter? It's so lightweight.
You bet your bottom collar it is. Don't hate me because I'm punny. Get 5-star freshness at prettylitter.com.
There are over 75 million monthly Tubi viewers. That's more people than get divorced every year. That means Tubi is more popular than moving into a sad motel by the airport. Tubi, it's more popular than divorce.
Pete Hegseth's new book.
The army I fought for has gone woke, and it's time to fix that.
Exposing the problems in today's military, how they're putting soldiers and America at risk, and what needs to change before it's too late. The War on Warriors. Order now at Fox.